I know, right? So we'll have a public hearing and then we'll hear it at the next meeting, I guess. Again, I guess so.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item that was slated for this evening was a public hearing on a request for a consent agreement with Dallas Pitts as personally and as their capacity as personal with the estate of Edmund Pitts to resolve possible violations of applicable subdivision law with respect to division of land on Thompson Road. I know council and I don't see him here. I guess we'll pass on that for now. Maybe he'll show up and take that up to that. And then we'll go to approval of the agenda. Anything to add to the agenda? Yes, sir.
I'd like to add, as item J, the new business, my request for a public works, use of a public works truck. So do that at that time.
Anybody else? Entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended then?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Public forum, anyone wishing to take an issue up with the board that is not already slated to be discussed as an agenda item, we can do so now. Okay, we'll pass. Yeah, moving right along. Minutes of August 12th, Selectmen's meeting.
I didn't see anything with those, so. Motion approved. Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of August 12th. All in favor? Committee and board reports.
Comprehensive Planning Review Committee will meet Tuesday, September 3rd, here at 7 p.m. And then the Planning Board will be holding a workshop meeting on Thursday, September, and there's no date there, so that would be the 5th. I apologize. Thursday, September 5th at 7 p.m. in the library as well. And since there was no meeting last week, I don't believe Selectmen New Boys has an update for us.
Yes, there was no meeting.
Thank you.
It was not approved.
Okay, then we'll move on to new business. Item A, I guess we'll pass since council is not here. Item B is the town manager's recommendation to the selectmen to award an RFP for a fire department power structure and 5-year service contract to Stryker for the total price of $17,689.
Yes, Stryker was the only bidder on this piece of equipment. When I found out they were going to be the only bidder, I spoke to a few different departments in the area, asked questions about if there were any other apparatus in the game that would be comparable. Everybody spoke very highly about Stryker. A certain city in the area just purchased a bunch of the other brand B, and they're very unhappy with the product. This is something that the fire department's been looking for quite some time, and I would recommend that the selectmen move forward with this. Open up, see if Mr. Lane has any
I
questions?
didn't even
or-
know until Saturday that this was on the agenda.
Okay.
It was news to me.
It's quoted as a 5-year service contract, but it's actually a 7-year complete. But because of the, what Mitch told me is because of the FCC or some sort of regulations in regards to that contract, it has to be listed as a 5-year. I think it's more than likely because the manufacturer warranties it for 2 years and then it picks up from there. But they will cover, they'll come in and they'll cover training. They've already provided the chief of the training checklist, and every year they come in and they inspect the equipment, make sure it's in operating shape, there's nothing wrong with it. And as I said, I recommend that we move forward and approve this.
Any questions, anybody?
Reason why there was, any feelings as to why there was only one bid? How many, where did this go out to?
It went out to Maine Municipal Association on the website where all the RFPs are. It was mailed to Stryker, and it went up on another website, fire-related website. Not sure why Stryker was the only one that bid on the unit, but
But they were the only manufacturer that was mailed, right?
Only-
Everything else was a kind of public forum type thing.
that's correct. And I posted it where we post all of the other municipal RFPs, Maine Municipal. Most distributors, most manufacturers are looking on that website to see what's out there, and I've been told that there's actually liaisons that will take from the MMA website and mail it to people that they think, or forward it to people that they think can qualify the bid. But I don't know whether there was a lot of bidders on that.
So any reason why it wasn't mailed to any other manufacturers?
I wasn't aware of any other direct manufacturers until the point where I spoke. There was a meeting that I attended at the Goodlands Mills Fire Station, and I met a rep there who told me of this one other company that does have it on.
And that's the company that the other town bought from, and they're unhappy with it.
That's correct. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Virtually all of our mutual aid departments, I'm not even sure who has the other brand, I haven't ever seen it, have strikers. We've got a mass casualty thing. Not always your stretcher is going in your ambulance, and it's really convenient to have everybody have the same time too.
Yeah, okay, but
And I don't think you'd find there's a huge difference between the others. I don't really know. Like I say, I didn't even know there was others.
Yep.
surprised me very much that there's only one or two, manufacturers of this type of equipment.
It's,
There's gotta be, these things, there's some millions of these things, so I'm sure there's a market for these, and there's more than just
not
two manufacturers.
I-
I just wanna make sure we didn't give preference to one manufacturer.
Absolutely not.
Just for the record, that was David Lane speaking.
Yeah.
We have to identify ourselves.
Oh, I'm
Since you're
sorry.
behind the camera now. Oh, here's your voice.
I'm behind here for a reason.
Yeah.
He's a troublemaker.
That's right.
Try not to break it.
So, David, the other mutual aid companies in the area also use strikers, and
Kennebunkport, Biddeford. I'm not sure what Goodlands Mills uses. Alfred, I know, has Stryker.
and as far as you know, they're very happy with their equipment.
Everybody uses it for a reason,
Okay.
because it's good, doesn't break down. It's
Reliability.
the reliability, the service behind it, keeping them. If something goes wrong, you get one till they fix yours, and
Any questions, folks? Okay.
I make a motion that we go with the town manager's recommendation.
Second motion.
Further discussion? All in favor? Okay, now we have to consider the request for the authorization to expend the sum of $17,689 from the fire department capital reserve account for the purchase of the power stretcher and 5-year service contract.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? I'm sorry, I jumped the gun.
Yeah, so, we took some money out of the fire department capital account, reserve account for a pump, right?
Yes, sir.
And what's left in that account?
As of the end of, as of June 30th, 2013, there was $176,573.23 in that account. And we've appropriated another $40,000 to it this year. So that does not include the appropriation for 13.
Any other questions? Motion been made and seconded. All in favor? Okay, item D then is, selectmen consider approval of mill rate for 2013-14 fiscal year. Town manager is recommending a mill rate of $14.50, which is our present mill rate, which results in an overlay of $166,399.
That's correct. By keeping the mill rate the same and funding the overlay to replenish some of the undesignated that we've been using in the past years, as well as to temper the blow as to any additional revenues we might lose from the state of Maine, it's my recommendation that the board keep the mill rate flat and retain the $14.50.
Questions, comments?
Make a motion to approve the mill rate of $14.50 as recommended by the town manager. I'll second.
Motion been made seconded to approve the mill rate of $14.50 for fiscal year 2013-14. All in favor? Next item is E, for us to consider, the selectmen to consider approval of extended sick leave policy.
We had discussed this at the meeting before last, that would have been the last meeting in July, I believe. I'm not going to lie to you, I pilfered this from the town of Yarmouth. I've spoken very extensively with Yarmouth, his town manager in his development of this policy. He had presented this policy to his auditors, and the reason that this was proposed is that it causes no financial liability for the town. An employee cannot bully or bribe someone into giving time. Someone has to make a request to donate sick time, vacation time, or sick time or vacation time to put into someone else's sick bank. And then that individual receiving the funds has to sign an agreement that says he's authorizing someone to donate. It'll be completely anonymous. And this will happen when an employee has expired all of their leave time, be it personal time, vacation time, any kind of accrued time that they have, then they would be eligible prior to the ending of the pay period with their time would expire. They would be eligible to receive donations, and employees would be eligible to donate. And this would help in the event of a terminal illness, a catastrophic illness for the employee, their spouse, or any of their dependents for our personnel policy.
And that's taxable income to the person receiving it.
The person receiving it will be taxed as income, yes, just like your regular sick time would be.
I have a question
Okay.
to the chair.
Go ahead.
You have here sick leave or unused holiday compensation.
At times, Public Works will accrue vacation time, holiday compensation. We've done away with all of the comp time per se, but on occasion they'll accrue some holiday time. I don't believe we would be using much of that, and if it were an issue, I can remove the unused holiday portion of that section.
And I just think that if someone has a holiday coming that, I can see donating your sick time or vacation time,
Okay.
but if you have holiday leave coming, I think you should keep something.
Okay.
That's my opinion. That was one question. And all full-time or regular part-time employees?
That's
will be
correct.
eligible?
A regular part-time employee would be like Jim Nagel, who works 32 hours a week, Bruce Mullen, who works 24 hours a week. They are regular part-time because they are not seasonal, they are not on-call, they're not temporary. They are full part-time employees.
Okay. You done?
One more question, under 5 on page 2, something about our irrevocable, and if any donated hours over 40 remain at the end of the recipient's catastrophic leave, they shall be lost.
That's correct. If someone donates the time, but if someone donates the time to an employee, they can't take it back. That's irrevocable. That's where the irrevocable clause is. And then hours over 40 at the end of, when you return from leave and begin accruing your own leave, you'll lose any of those over 40 hours in cases of relapse and then you can take another week off to go deal with something. So if somebody were to donate 65 hours of time to someone, and that gave them 65 hours of sick time, they would only be allotted 40 hours because it's felt that they'll, once again, be accruing that time, but it'll give them the 40 hours to be able to have in case something happens where they have to go.
That's my question.
So an employee has available sick time at the end of the year. If that employee doesn't use that sick time, what happens?
Sick time stays on the books. Actually, all the time.
So if they have 10 hours, they start the next year with 10 hours.
That's correct.
Well, you're right.
Oh.
We accrue it weekly with pay periods, like, so many hours per week. I think we accrue gradually throughout the year. We don't get a lump sum of 10 at one time.
But if you have 10 available at the end of the year,
You build up to, you can max, I think it's 360 hours, and after that, you lose it. So
if you have 10 hours at the end of the year,
You still have it at the beginning.
so
of the
you
next.
start the next year with 10 hours, and then you accrue as the year goes on.
Yes. Yep.
So if an employee donates 10 hours, or let's say an employee donates 40 hours, they have a bunch of hours left, they donate 40 hours to an individual, but there's a significant pay difference between the two, so that 40 hours that he or she donates may not actually be 40 hours, right?
That's correct.
They'll just donate 40 hours worth to this person.
Absolutely, yes.
It could be
And so it
30
could
hours.
be, exactly, it could be 25 hours,
Okay.
Explain that. In other words, if I make $10 an hour and he makes $5 an hour, and I'm giving him some of my time,
Yep.
It's at my rate.
it's at his rate.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I had the same question with Ellen about holiday compensation. I
Yep.
understand that.
Oh, absolutely, I can eliminate that.
One issue I had here says, once the application to donate is received, the donor releases all rights. Paragraph 5, first page.
First page, to recover any time listed.
All donations will be processed with authorization of the employee. Once the application is, the donates received, the donor releases all rights to recover any time listed in the application. Right?
That's correct.
Okay. So if I just make an application,
Yep.
you receive it,
Yep.
I've lost those hours.
That's correct.
But in paragraph 2, it says that the recipient has to consent.
Yes, it does.
So should I lose those hours if the recipient decides I don't want them?
No,
No.
no, not at all. I'm not gonna let people give time that
Right.
somebody doesn't want.
Right.
No, absolutely not.
So I guess maybe the triggering mechanism is once it's received and accepted by the prospective recipient, whoever that might be.
Yep.
Then you can use it.
And it's
You know, we have a disability policy.
We do.
So we should, if somebody's on disability,
Yep.
the workers' comp as an exception in paragraph 2. Should we include if somebody is receiving disability benefits as well?
Disability, correct.
Or disability benefits?
That's correct.
Yeah.
This is the maximum number of days to be awarded shall be from 12 weeks. That's in the aggregate for
But that's part of federal regulations.
And second page, paragraph 4, it says receive donations as employees who have a leave of absence status not be able to see.
That's correct. Employees are required to place a formal request for a leave of absence, which puts them on unpaid status with the town. And so while they're on unpaid status, if they are to get ill, it's an illness outside of the scope of work, so they wouldn't be covered by this policy.
Right, but if somebody is contemplated here is using family medical leave to go care for a sick spouse or what have you,
Yep.
is that going to disqualify them?
No,
Because it says
because
they're on leave of absence?
We differentiate between
Okay.
leave of absence and FMLA and the
Okay.
personal policy.
Okay.
You have to request an unpaid leave. I can actually change that to unpaid leave of absence.
Anybody else have any questions or concerns? Oh, you don't? Okay.
Is it stated in there, so if say I were to donate hours to someone and they don't use them all up, what happens to those donated hours?
They go,
They
you
just
don't,
go away?
they just go, they're written off, yes.
All right, so do you want to revise this and then we'll vote on it, or what are you looking for?
Either way, you can approve it as amended. I have all my notes, or we can table it for the next meeting. I can amend it and bring it back to you, and we can approve it at that point.
Why don't we do that, so we just have a clean copy and Okay, item F is for us to consider potential articles to be voted on in conjunction with the state of Maine's November election, assuming we have one.
Yes.
And the only article we might be considering at this point is the camper trail ordinance, is that right?
That is true.
Nothing else that would be,
We discussed the fireworks at the last meeting, and I don't think that would warrant revisiting at this point. I think that right now, I think it would be best that be.
what about any of the tips?
I don't believe any of the applications will be ready by September. Tad's working as feverishly as he can on the CMP one as we speak. And I
The other one.
The other one,
What about CMC?
yeah, absolutely. Tad's working on that, and if he is able to get it through Smitty at the DDCE, I may have that for you at the meeting. But I would consider that a stroke of miracle if that would happen.
And your reasoning behind the Eastern Trail parking,
That's just, it was just my opinion that, in order to get public comment, have a conversation about parking on the Eastern Trail, it might be more conducive to do so in a special town meeting. We have to go to Selectmen if they want to put that item on the agenda. Right now, on the warrant, what we would be dealing with right now is roadside parking, because there's still been no communication back and forth whatsoever. So it would be, Roger and I would put together the price of what we had discussed in the past about roadside parking, and that would go to the voters requesting to fund from the Parks and Rec Reserve account parking on the side of Norman Road for the Eastern Trail.
but if we, our last discussion on this, we were gonna get a value for a quarter of an acre,
Yeah.
and then we were gonna make landowner an offer.
And Jim was supposed to get back to me this week with that price. I don't believe it would be accepted by the September 9th deadline, Sam? I believe it was September 9th, sorry to put you on the spot.
September, well, the 20th is the deadline for me to be able to have it for his election.
Yeah. And then
So
9th is-
but our last meeting is the 9th of September.
Which
I mean, at this stage, I mean, we're too close anyways, I mean, I wanna move on this thing, but I don't wanna rush into and leave some stones, unturned, so, but I just wanna make sure that we keep this item and we keep working it, absolutely.
What's the board's thoughts on the camper trailer ordinance consideration?
We have to have a public hearing on that before?
No, we just, the municipal officers just have to order Simone to place it on the ballot before the 20th, but we can hold a public hearing at a later date.
This is just so we have to get the
Ballots.
down vote too.
Yes.
So I have the question, you
Right.
have to give me the question,
Right.
so then I can have the balance.
Right, because the ordinance itself, you can, have to post that 7 days before. So we still have time to work on the ordinance.
Right.
Because you have still some concerns about it.
Yeah.
What does it cost if we were going to print the ballot, just for one question?
It's a new company, had just got the voting machine about a week ago, so I have no cost estimates on it. I'm not sure, I can find out for you.
I just hate to expend the cost just for one question.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, we still don't know, has the legislature met yet? I know they've reconvened, but we still aren't sure if there'll be a November election, and that's where the costs are considerably more for programming with just a municipal ballot. There's a state ballot associated with it, and I don't quote me on this, but I think they had said $800 to program the machine, or
I think they program, I think it's even less than that,
Is
because
it?
they program it at the state level.
Yeah.
If
If
it's
it's
a
an-
state election.
exactly.
And then
So
we have
if you don't have a state election, then you're not going to get turnout.
Exactly.
And is it worth holding an election? Is it worth holding?
Yeah, we expect a big turnout anyway, right? Some of the bond issues. Don't want to bite the paper.
Pardon?
Don't want to bite the paper.
I mean, I'm more than happy to keep an eye on what they're doing at the state, and at the next meeting, if it becomes evident that there's going to be an election, maybe at that point, we'll have everything in order, we can bring that to you and then make that recommendation to
We may
small.
print our own ballots.
Or we can print our own ballots.
Okay. Get up next time. All right. Okay, next time is for the town manager to update us on the discussions with Hawkeye LLC, public easement portion of the Curtis Road.
As you all know, from, at least during my tenure here in Arundel, the determination was made that the old maple tree was the point where the town maintains to and from, and that Roger and the crew do take care of that portion of the road. I spoke to Hawkeye LLC, their land acquisition specialist just informed me that they had acquired land from the Belanger driveway on where there was no public easement, and from the point where the town stops maintaining to the Belanger driveway, that's a public easement. To date, the town hasn't expended any funds on that portion of the road. Roger and I went out and took a ride out there. It wouldn't appear that they're driving lots of heavy equipment on the road. Roger agreed that he and I hadn't been there together since July of last year, and the road hadn't deteriorated immensely from that point. You may have more information, Phil, you may know the road better than I do. Dust was an issue, I brought that to Hawkeye's attention. I don't believe they've done anything to date on dust control. But where it's a public easement and the town has not been maintaining that portion of the road, we also can't require them to do anything above and beyond what they would do on any of our other roads. Or that would put us in a position where now we're advocating for or against the road and could be construed as maintenance or a town interest in that section of the road. And that isn't direction that I've been given by the board to date. They're aware of the problem, they've been informed that they need to slow down. Fred's probably the only one here that can tell me if they have or not. It was quite dusty when we went out there to take a look at it, and Roger was just barely moving as we went through there. But they have done everything that they're required to do. I can't give them permission to use that public easement because it's a public easement. I believe the town has not taken any control over that section of the road.
now.
Fred, did you have something?
Yep.
Just identify yourself right as you're behind the camera.
Oh, Fred Stone, Stone Ridge Farm. I would probably disagree. They were running heavy equipment over that road for 3 weeks during the rains. When I mean heavy equipment, I mean trailer trucks. They were running them about, 30, 40 a day. You're up.
Really?
And the logging company that's down there too has been going in and out that way. And in fact, they were down through there this morning. You can tell they go by the milking parlor at around 4:30 in the morning. And whether they're supposed to be using that section of road or not, I have no clue, but they are. The only problem that I have, I don't care whether you maintain it, you don't maintain it. I just don't want to have them stave it up and then come back and everybody complain, well, there's cow manure, there's this, there's that, there's something else, and then it falls on my shoulders to fix it. The last time the road was in that condition, I put 100 some odd yards of 1.25 inch stone on it. In fact, if you go down through there now, you can see the 1.25 inch stone coming up through. And in front of the manure storage, we're getting into they're getting into base material over it. That's where the big stones are. What they're doing above and beyond the barns, I have no clue, although that's not up for me to argue. But that's the problem I have with them, and I just don't want them going off and leaving a mess. I have to have a truck in there every other day. And dust is a big issue. The state inspector was down today on something else that we're working on with the conservation easement came up water, and she mentioned the dust when she was there. So, maintain it, don't maintain it. But it seems that they're going to stave up the road. They didn't bond the road, which I'm not sure why they didn't do that. You have a major construction operation going on down there with no bond on the road. If anybody else tried to pull that stunt in town, we'd be hung, because you're doing a percentage of what would ordinarily be expected on that road. You see where I'm going with that, and that's far as clear as mud, but that's how that works. And then you have to bond the road. And to my knowledge, they didn't bond the road. So that's just exactly what you said. They said they can use the roads, town road, and if you don't like it, well, too bad. Well, that's pretty much their attitude towards the whole thing.
It's been made very clear to them, and you're correct, the road's not bonded, so whether or not they're going to come through with it, that'll be another thing that'll remain to be seen, Fred. But I have made it very clear to Lee at Hawkeye that they should leave the road in the state that they found it, as well as Burns and McDonald, who is their surveying firm that's been doing all the survey work. I've also informed them that I called it, one of the no man's lands in town where nobody claims responsibility for that portion of the road, and it would be appreciated if they were to make that goodwill gesture, and if they do beat the heck right out of it if they bring it back. But we don't have a bond on it. I don't know if we have a bondable interest in that public easement. I mean, I'm not schooled in public easements beyond the minimum information.
And I'm not going to argue Dana Peck's point, where it's your road and because it wasn't closed properly. That's another story for another day. And if somebody below me wants to bring that up, they're more than welcome to. But I'm not arguing that point because I don't care. But whether you choose to maintain the road or you don't choose to maintain the road doesn't really advocate your ownership of the road. But that's neither here nor anywhere else. I just don't want a mess, which is what I'm seeing right now. And then everybody's going to have pitchforks and torches out, and they're going to go after me. And that ain't happening.
David Wayne, that job is bonded. That particular road may not be bonded, but that job is bonded. I can assure you of that.
Absolutely.
That job that size is always bonded.
Marty, identify yourself. So you're behind the camera. We want to have people.
We should want to get in front of it tomorrow.
I don't need to get in front of it. Marty King. All right. Part of that with the logging company and everything else, when they came forward to get permits or whatever else to do it, they were supposed to turn around and take before pictures and everything else under that, and part of their agreement was that turn around when they would be done, it would be left in the same condition as they found it in.
That was just a trail. I think, Marty, that was just underneath the power line. It wasn't the Curtis Road.
I just...
Yeah, I remember the discussion about it, and it was just along the right of way underneath the power lines, because they didn't want...
I'm just saying, I knew there was something, so they had to get in and out. I don't know where their staging area was going to be, or whatever, but that was part of the conditions, so you might have something there too for before and after.
That's for the other logging company, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But they are going, they are going past the farm. So whether they're supposed to or not, I have no clue. But that's the way they're coming in.
Are the heavy logging trucks going through the
out your end of the road, or they're going out to Downing Road?
I don't know how they, I haven't seen them come out, yes I have, I've seen them come out loaded a few times, but for the most part, I think they're just empty trucks going in.
Yeah, this is
Well, I've
supposed to be
seen the
going out to
trucks
Downing
coming out,
Road.
yeah.
What's that?
Trucks with the batting they put in. I mean,
Yeah, well,
trailer after
that's
trailer
the,
after
that's the
trailer.
Hawkeye people.
Right.
Yeah, they had 7 or 8 of them lined up in front of Edmonds old bunker silo there. That was when we were having all that rain, which really pounded hell out of stuff. I mean,
Are
that
they
was,
supposed to go out to Down Road again?
Yeah, that was their plan. One comment, in defense to the logging company, Labby Excavating has been contacted to visit the site and to put a proposal together for repairing any and all damages that the logging company has done to Curtis Road. The meeting hasn't happened yet, the call was only on Friday. That'll happen this week.
so Phil, I don't think they've done it. I don't think the logging company, I don't think has done much damage on our side. It's the Hawkeye people flying in and out with
Nonetheless,
their
they're-
trailer trucks.
I made that statement to let everybody know that the logging company appears to be honoring their commitment.
I mean, just so you know, that I haven't seen the damage that they did with, when they were running their trailer trucks in and out, and then Dayton Sand was hauling in stone on a steady basis for their, whatever it is, when they were doing their poles and stuff. Because I mentioned to the, whatever her name woman was, I said, well, if that's the case, why don't you just get Dayton Sand to dump tailgate 120 or 100 yards of stone, and, you know, from the milking parlor to the upper pit thing there, and they'll supply that, and then of course I got a whole litany of why they couldn't do that, and rah, 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 and I said, well, you know what, I said, I've got a cow cabin, I guess I better go tend to her, you can go tend to whatever it is you're gonna do, and goodbye.
Does anybody have any idea how long these people will be utilizing Curtis Road?
I don't know.
They utilize Drews Mill Road for approximately 6 to 8 weeks. They're still in there, but now the traffic on Drews Mill Road is down by 75% from what it was. They're still in there. So you would have to guess a couple of months or so when everything there.
Yeah, I thought.
They're still gonna have to go in.
Section by the fall. But they're supposed to be done in the section right in the fall. We should be close, yeah. We see it the other way.
They're still gonna have to go in and take those mats out,
Yes.
so you're gonna have the same thing, only in reverse.
Yeah, the mats were put in from the, I think they started from the Irving Road, right? And then they put the mats, and they started from the golf course and worked out that way.
They
No,
came
they
the other
didn't.
way, because I saw them driving
I think they were going
tractor
both
trailer
ways.
after tractor trailer by my house.
With
heading
the
up
mats?
With the
Yeah.
mats on the tractor trailers.
Yeah, see, when we
I think
had
they
the discussion with
they built it from
CMP,
this way.
they were
Both
supposed to
ends in.
start from the Limerick Road and work out and stay away from the Curtis Road and work that way, and they.
That's not what happened.
You remember- you
They
remember that
came
house?
in, because I went out, going to the other farm, went that way, and the first section of mats they put in, they came in off the Brimstone by the golf course, then they stopped there, and then they started bringing their mats in, and they started coming in, and they were going, well, if you were heading out towards the Downing Road, they were going to the left, and they did that section. And once they got that completed, then they went to the right to the river. But that was after the fact. I mean, I watched them out there doing it. But they were running mats in there all the while they'd sat in it around 2 o'clock in the morning. There'd be trailer trucks sitting down there waiting on mats. In the morning. There was a steady stream of them. And so they were running a good 18, 19 hours a day running those mats in. Which is fine. I mean, again, but
It's not according to town ordinance.
But that wasn't what we were told when, I think originally when we talked last, 2 weeks ago, you folks stated that their access and entrance points were off the Brimstone Road and the Limerick Road.
Only
And they
one.
were supposed to stay off the Curtis Road. In fact, I told that to that woman and she said, again, she did, well, it's a public road, we can do what we want. I said, well, fine, that's great.
The only, like I said, the only request they made to me was in regards to the crossing of Limerick Road and being able to offload stuff there, because that section of the road posted at 15 ton. But they made no mention of anything about the Curtis Road. I just assumed they were following the lines with the mats from, because they started on 111.
No,
They came over to
no.
Limerick Road, and they're coming from the other end too, because today they started from the Limerick Road heading over to the Brimstone Road. I don't know if they're doing that entire section, because the poles are already up, but there's matting now on the side, on the south side of the Limerick Road where that easement crosses.
No, that's,
Yeah, and that's
That's
the
not
only
what's
conversation I ever had with them up
Yeah.
until speaking to you.
followed 3 trucks out there, well, they had 3, yeah, 3, you know, 2 or 3 trucks were in there today, plus that 1 ton. I don't care about that 1 ton, but
Yeah.
they were buzzing around there, and, but I came out through with a round baler and a tractor the other day, and I woke one of them up. The damn bugger was asleep. I was coming from the other farm, and he was sitting there and asleep in the truck in the middle of the road. I put the bale spear just about right and thumped him. It was reset. Woke him up. He got pissed off, spilled out, and up on the mats. And then he kind of gave me the finger, and I went down through. So
Did you wave at him?
I did. Actually, I did, Mark.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Okay, all right, so Fred, you're
but I
to
just
the issue, and you're on the record as far as the issue's concerned, and Todd will stay on top of this, we'll do the best we can until we get these things straight.
I just can't have the dust. That's the main thing. The repairing the road, yes, but I can't have the dust. So do something, please. Very good.
Okay, the next item is a discussion regarding the use of the Route 1 property currently owned by the town for the future town hall location.
We've done a lot of discussing back and forth as to other lots that we could possibly put town hall on. I'm just going to make a recommendation that the Route 1 lot is a lot that we own. It's a good sized parcel of property, and the Medores had offered to donate that property to us. The reason I bring this to you is we're at the stage now where the architect's making revisions from the last meeting, but they want to begin doing site planning, just to see where they can site that building on a specific lot. There's never been a decision by the Board of Selectmen otherwise, but I just want to get direction on the use of that Route 1 lot, and if that is where we are going to plan to site the town hall. It was the beginning of the conversations that I had with the building committee. That's where it was always assumed that it was going to be. There have been some side conversations in the last few months, and I just wanted to see if we should. I would recommend moving forward with the Route 1 parcel because we own it. It's a good piece of land. The properties in the front are getting cleaned up, and it would help us to, I think, bring in some business that would complement town hall. But it's not my call to tell anybody where that building should go. So I'm looking for input from the board on that matter. As you're well aware, we've had conversations about this. The property, Mrs. Todd's property, has been sold. The other 2 properties that were discussed at the last meeting, I haven't had any contact from the realtors or the foreclosers. And looking at the lot, I'm not sure if those 2 lots combined are as large as they may seem. No, right on Route 111. Not Route 1, on the Limerick Road, those 2 foreclosed properties that are
Standing there, was old house and then,
About a quarter mile
just the other side of.
west of Town Hall. So I guess I'm looking for some direction on where would the board like to go. I asked Mrs. Poulin, who had made an offer to sell property to the town, to give me a figure as to what she would be looking for. I haven't heard back from her as of yet. She did mention in her email that it would probably be a little more expensive because it has frontage on the mountain road, which kind of made me wonder. But I guess I'm looking for direction because the engineers would like to be able to find a site to site this building to make sure if the space that we need is going to fit on the lot that we're going to use.
I've never liked the location, I'll just say that, correct? I just don't think the town hall off Route 1, the traffic that's going to be generated, and the traffic that you have on Route 1 is really ideal. But having said that, obviously, it was gifted to us, and you're going to spend money if you're citing it someplace else.
I agree, I think we own the land. I walked it. It's a, maybe the location isn't 100% ideal, but I think that with because obviously London is right there. I mean, there are other businesses in the area, that I think it would be a nice location.
For the sake of discussion.
Yes.
I know that we, getting back to this property over here, it was made a mention that, kind of thought that she might be open to selling. I mean, would we look at, maybe making an offer to her on that, or?
It would be a possibility, but I think we would have to bring in the Kennebuck Land Trust and see if they would be willing to negotiate part of that land as well, because that's a 134-acre parcel with frontage on the Kennebuck River. And I don't believe that, I mean, it would be prohibitively expensive to have to purchase that lot in its entirety. And I don't believe that it is her intent to subdivide that property whatsoever. Not at this point in time. In her legacy, she doesn't want to see that something.
Marty?
Kane. Two things. On your land trust, there's also Kennebunkport Land Trust, besides Kennebunk. But also, too, with the great wisdom of everybody else turning around and trying to create this great downtown business section, if you turn around, the town of Arundel wants to go that way, you should turn around and at least follow through with the wishes instead of trying to put it somewhere else.
The wishes of...
The great downtown districts. With businesses in front or turn around with traffic, with interconnections or whatever else not. If the town itself don't want to follow through on it, then how do you expect businesses to follow through?
I just think we already own the land. I mean, if we go out and look for something else, you're talking $200,000-$300,000 and upwards just for a suitable piece of land. And there goes our cushion to help pay for and start a new town hall. And that land's already out.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jack.
Jack Reeds, to what extent could or should a town hall be an integral part of the town center? Or is it just a standalone building anywhere in 20 square miles? Or should it be part of a larger plan?
The majority of the towns that I am aware of that have a town hall in their town center were established several years ago. The trend these days is for municipalities to find gifted land or the least expensive land that they can find to place their town halls on. But that used to be the pattern of development as the town hall was developed, because that was the center of town.
Well, we have an opportunity, if it's important to the citizens, and we don't know that.
The other thing is, don't forget, that's on the cable line, so you can get in without them turning around stretching it out farther and farther. You want your great TV programs.
I'll make note of the great TV program.
You mean this program right here? Marty?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad I brought it up.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
just helping.
just too bad. It's
I never
it's
thought of
like,
that
it's a
point.
default situation. It's not the ideal.
I too am not excited about the Route 1 property, though I haven't seen it. But it would take one to dump $200,000 or $300,000 into sidewalk. I've been told that it's not the greatest property in town. I haven't seen it. And site costs today can get out of control.
That's the next step, is having them go in there and tell us where it should be sited and what it would cost us to put it there.
We speak to Will. We'll meet on the site. We'll have them walk the property. Give you. We could have a I think it'd be easier if we have someone there with us. I don't believe it's still flagged, there's wetlands that are flagged out there, but we certainly could have a sidewalk go out and walk the property. It's sloping, there are some flat areas as you come right off of Route 1 after the right of way that we can set a building. But if you'd like it, before the next meeting, we could schedule for 6 o'clock and go out and meet at the property to take a look and I guess make a general decision as to what direction to go.
If we're going to do a sidewalk, we should have someone there that knows the property, knows where the lines are, and your guy at Sebago should be there. We should arrange to have him there, because you'll get a lot of information on what you can and cannot do.
I'll contact the surveyor of the property and see if they'd be available to do that.
Because we can just walk out there, and we could be looking at somebody else's property and not even know it.
My concern about the town hall, I think of town hall as being to the town, right on Route 1, business traffic, it's, Maya brings up a good point about, creating a town, town village, for, not town village, but
The center of town.
yeah, but I mean, what the planning board is working on redoing the zoning to, but that's okay for businesses. To me, I don't think that fits for a town hall, but if it's free property, we'll take a look at it and go from there. And I'm open to look at it for sure.
All right, I'll see if I can get everybody scheduled to be at that site on the 9th. I'll let you know well ahead of time whether they'll be able to be there, and we'll do just that.
And prior to that, have somebody there to give us, so that when we are on the property, we're looking and they're saying, see these flags right here, this is where you would cite your town hall.
Yeah, absolutely. Will do.
Mr. Kane, yes.
Also, too, Route 1, you do have water pressure now, so you can,
You're welcome.
Yeah, water, I'm not so sure.
And look, we have
Water's coming from- water's coming from the
well,
farm, yeah.
town water.
Thankful.
I don't taste it.
You should have, man. Good water comes from my place.
You can say it's your place. It's,
No, that's where it comes from.
okay.
Yes, sir. Through the chair.
Where is your other properties that the town owns? Where are those?
The town currently owns that Route 1 property, parcels at the transfer station, and 2 parcels on the,
The post sign.
The old post is a
They're
very
just
small,
tiny,
triangular
they're
and
odd little
blocky.
pieces.
yeah. Isn't there one with water access on Walker's Lane or Riverwind or?
There's a little piece
Yeah,
of.
but that's in residential.
It's very marshy. I don't even know if you get it.
And then there's Railroad Park.
Yeah, the railroad, by the railroad and Old Pond River. Little pipe shaped piece.
And none of those are suitable for anything?
The transfer station might be suitable if MDOT would discuss an easement coming from the Limerick Road. We would have to build either a road through the transfer station to get to the property we have over the old landfill, or somehow access it from the other side, and it would be pretty expensive to be able to get in there.
Yes, Mark?
Another question. Is the town hall allowed to be built in residential area?
So depends on what the zoning is.
It's zoned by
I'm
zone.
just saying,
Yep.
it is still a business.
Oh, we're subject to zoning.
No, I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah, no, yeah. All right, so we're gonna try to arrange to take a look-see.
Yeah,
Site
absolutely.
and,
And make a decision from there. Thank you very much.
okay, need a motion to approve the AP warrant.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? J, discussion of use of the public works truck.
Yes, I'm donating an oil tank to the Public Works Department for use as a waste oil tank. And I don't want anybody saying the town manager was at his house with a down Arundel truck doing personal work. That tool truck that they have has a lift gate on it that would be ideal for what I need to do. I don't need the crew, I just need the truck. Probably a Saturday morning for about an hour, just so I can load that oil tank onto the truck and bring it over to the shop. And if I can get the blessing from the selectmen, Roger will be very happy and it'll save me a little on my back.
You see the tank he has used for it?
He said they don't have enough capacity for waste oil when they do oil changes. And I just changed it because I'll be finishing my basement, but the tank is solid, there's no weeping, there's nothing, it's in great shape. And he said, yes, he can use it, so to save me a little back pain, I figured I'd put it on that little truck and just drop it off at the shop.
Is it our reality solar?
No, it's in the basement, I've got a couple of suckers lined up. Saturday morning.
Friends.
Yes, friends, I'm sorry. You said you weren't busy Saturday again, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No, but I've got the work lined up. If it's okay with the board, I will take that tool truck and drop it off.
It's okay by me.
I
Yeah.
have no problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, old business. Anybody have anything on old business? Need to resurrect here. And other business, we have a reminder that there is a Chamber of Commerce, is it Kennewan Port, Arundel Chamber?
Yes.
Yes.
Annual meeting which is being held on September 11th.
It's from 5:30 to 8 o'clock. Donna and Charlie have RSVP, and any of the rest of you make it.
I can try to make it now. It's a Wednesday.
Thursday. It is
Wednesday.
Wednesday, yes. I'm sorry?
I'll let you know.
Okay, perfect. I need to know by Wednesday. Please, thank you.
Okay, anything else, folks? Okay. We're done.
Adjourn? Second?
All in favor?
Thank you. Did you change your mind?
It's basically just.